All right, welcome back to Callahan Training Group Podcast, season don't know, episode don't know. I warned you guys that once the season hits, it kind of hits hard and I get super busy. So, here I am. Where are you, Colt? Here you are, Colt. Say hi. So, we're here today in my new little diva closet here, as I'm calling it, up at Double Eagle. Look, it's tick season. Nice. But I had to move all my gunsmithing stuff up here for the sake of my sanity. So I'm in my little closet right now. Double Eagle is hosting JJ Rakaza this week. I'm between a bunch of stuff. I'm letting some things charge. Me and Colt are inside. So in this rare opportunity, while I have a couple minutes to kill, I'm going to go ahead and do the podcast. And now that we have Starlink up here and I can talk to everybody and post things at Double Eagle, it's a lot nicer. So yeah, things are coming along nicely this season. Double Eagle's already hosted... me, Callahan Training Group at Double Eagles already hosted, 3 public matches, 3 big matches, 3 practice score full matches, 2 USPSA and a 2-gun. My weekly matches are full to the point that I have added a Thursday to the schedule. So they're already up there, the ones that are available. I already had some private training kind of clogging the works, not in a bad way. So I couldn't add every Thursday, but there are some Thursday options up already, and then going into August, September, and indefinitely forever. It looks like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be a weekly match. Saturday, Sunday, I'll do my private training, unless I'm shooting a match or doing competition fundamentals or something. So, man, USPSA is hit hard and heavy, and that's kind of what my subject is for this. I've got 2 things I wanted to chat about. But first subject being the Nationals conundrum that everybody is now realizing is an issue that I've been talking about for a little while. The slot allocation, how open enrollment doesn't work, and blah, 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 blah. So instead of complaining more about the stuff that we all know is wrong, everybody's got different opinions about what's right or wrong and all these kinds of things. So I have an idea. I wanted to present my solution to the Nationals challenge. I don't want to say problem. I want to say challenge. I don't think it's a problem that we're so busy and growing so much that we have 150% matched attendance, basically. Like we're full to the gills. We have wait lists everywhere from area 8 at local matches through area level 2 and 3 matches, nationals. I mean, I think it was something like 50 spots were open for open enrollment sign up whenever that day actually came after we had allocated all. So we'll say the culture is booming. More people are shooting matches than ever, which is awesome, and that's not a bad thing. Now, what I will say is, I find it comical when we have wait lists and everybody's complaining, and we have a membership that's outpacing we have a demand that's outpacing the supply, and you see the board posting like they're so proud that we've got 45,000 members when we're not posting a solution to host these 45,000 members. You start to realize how important the clubs, the volunteers, the members, and the matches are to this sport. That's really what the most important thing is. Everybody's coming, everybody wants to come participate, and just because you can get a USPSA number and just because you can potentially get classified doesn't mean that you get to attend anymore. So you start to realize how important these volunteers, these match directors, these clubs are. That's the lifeblood of the sport. The shooters, the people who come to build, the people who support over and over again, the people who help run iPads and don't ask for help and all those kinds of things. You guys are the best. So my solution for nationals is a fairly simple one. And a fairly simple one, and I say this all the time, simple doesn't mean easy, simple doesn't mean comfortable, but it is simple. Simple as in what I want to do is start modeling some other sports out there that are successful. Sporting Clays does it, even golf does it. They have a ranking system for basically overall performance. And what's cool right now is I think there's a bunch of guys out there who've done that for our sport. The ELO rankings, the Code Howler Monkey guys and Jay of Mars and all these guys producing like incredibly awesome live stats and the ability to track and see all these shooters over time. I think what they've done is open up our eyes and ability to kind of start looking at the sport a little bit more seriously. And seriously is what I want. It's never personal. It's always serious is my big joke. I take this very seriously. I take the sport seriously. I take the culture seriously. I think we should take our sport more seriously, and having one nationals is part of taking it more seriously. There's no other competitive sport out there, not darts, not cornhole, not anything out there that splits their nationals and their people into multiple different divisions and dates and all that kind of stuff. Sporting Clays ironically does one of their nationals, or I don't know if they still do it. I'm not an active competitor, but they do their nationals at Cardinal Center, ironically, and they'll spend a whole week there. They'll have vendors there for an entire week. They'll have thousands of people come by. They'll have families camping. People plan their whole vacation around it with their families. I want to start looking at those kinds of sports and modeling our sport after them. They're not better or worse than our sport. They just take it more seriously, and people who take things seriously get treated seriously. So I want us to take this more seriously. I know a lot of the guys who are on the board are like hobbyists at best, and I know this is just a hobby to a lot of them, but taking a hobby seriously isn't a bad thing. I think that's why a lot of us got into this sport, is shooting was a hobby and I wanted to take it more seriously, and I think taking it as seriously as you can is a good thing. Doesn't mean it's personal, doesn't mean anybody's going to be mean to you for being bad, but I want the guys who care the most at nationals. I don't care if you're the most serious D-class shooter. I want the most serious guys there. I want the guys there that belong to be belong there and earned it in there. Kind of like the old 3-gun national days. You had to earn your way in, and you had to shoot a regionals match and a kind of matches on the way up, and you had to earn your way in. I think that's similar to what we should do. So first and foremost, that is ELO ratings that we have. I want to lean on them heavily for nationals. I think the top 400, or however we want to sort it out, should go to nationals. There should not be an open enrollment, and that pisses people off. So here's my solution. ProAm style. I want to have a week-long nationals. Why? Because we already have multiple weeks worth of nationals in the books. So it's not like I want to add any more time. I want to simplify things. I want to have one nationals, and I want to have it over 7 days. The first 3 days is going to be ELO style, invite only, top 400 guys come duke it out. We'll call it pro nationals. Top 400, and we could adjust for top 400. I don't know how, I'm not a numbers guy, I'm not a stats guy, but I know they can adjust to make sure the proper amount of revolver and limited shooters are there, because I know everybody's shooting carry optics and limited optics right now, but we could say the top 400 of the respective divisions should be at the pro nationals, and easily. And if they don't want to come, cool, it goes to the 400 first, second, third, fourth, fifth. There's plenty of guys chomping at the bit who are great shooters who deserve to be at nationals, who should be there. So I want the top 400 rated shooters to go first. I think that's a easy way to do it. Now, that always annoys some people, because like if you're a really great C or B class shooter and you want to be involved in nationals, I get it. But that's where taking the sport seriously is like, it might make some people mad, but like the best B class shooter isn't at the Olympics. He's not at nationals of other sports. You know what I mean? I think there's also a merit to maybe, if we don't do this pro style top 400, at least opening enrollment to grandmasters and masters first for 2 weeks, and then the A class, B class, and then the rest of everybody for the remaining weeks. I think that'd be a fair way to do it as well. But I at least want the first 3 days nationals to be like the serious shooters, like the pro shooters, in that people might come and watch. They might want to actually come and attend and see what's going on up there. More attendance to watch the pro shooters, because we're taking it more seriously, means more vendors might want to come and actually attend, be there for a long period of time, sell guns. I know if I can go to a nationals, I can buy a Glock, walk over there and buy a plate and an optic, put it all together and zero it on the range. I'm way more likely to leave with a gun than if I have to go to a gun shop and go here and go there and go to the other place. I know I can order stuff. I can order online. I hate that answer from stores. But if I show up at a nationals to watch JJ shoot, and then I could walk over to my favorite gun booth and buy the gun, and then put an optic on it and zero it here, and then just ship it back to my FFL, that's rad. That's really cool. So that's kind of a model of Sporting Clays. That's why that whole vendor row that everybody passes on the way into Cardinal Center exists. By the way, that is full of vendors for all of Sporting Clay Nationals. They have a storefront there that a lot of those companies pay for, because that's how worth it is for them to park there that long. So I think the first 3 days being the most serious shooters is awesome. We can call day 4 a reset day. Reset the range, let the staff break, all that kind of thing. And then the next 3 days, I think, should be the open enrollment as we're currently running it. Basically, the leftover, everybody who wants to come participate and shoot and see how they rank against the pros. They want to shoot on the same stage, at the same nationals, in the same format. Cool. I think that's awesome. And I think that gives everybody serious and less serious a chance to compete fairly. And what I think it'll do is it'll alleviate a lot of the staff problems, because this is what's funny. It's 7 days. It's all long. Everybody's like, well, that's too long. That's too much. I'm like, well, I know as a pro shooter, I would gladly help staff nationals. If it didn't affect my performance at nationals. If I could find a way, well, here's my way. If I could show up and I can shoot a match on my own, you give me a day to reset, I will gladly help RO. I will take a stage over. I will help RO to represent my sponsors and represent my people for the amateur side of things. I think a lot of pros would. I think a lot of pros out there do staff some nationals and some major matches, and they're forced to shoot on staff day, and then they're just there all day. And instead, we could have these pro shooters come and shoot a pro match and really take it seriously and duke it out, and then we could have these pro shooters sit there and represent our sport. I think that'd be awesome. I think it would also encourage more amateur shooters to come out to be like, hey, what do you mean JJ might RO me on a stage, or John Vlieger's out there gonna RO me on a stage, and all these OGs are out there, and like these guys who give back to the sports immensely but take it seriously at the same time. I think it'd be a cool way to kind of expand the culture, get more people there. It'd be more of a attitude of everyone's there together, everybody can hang out. I think there'd be more spectators even. I think it would expand the sport greatly. And then because more pros are going to hang around, more vendors and stuff are there, I think the side events are a big draw that we can get people doing, like things that are just head-to-head shoot-offs. Just have a pit over there where you could pay $5 to go race your buddy, and inevitably a couple of good pro shooters are going to go do it. It'll be fun to watch. It'll raise money. You know what I mean? $5, $5, $10 per run. Two guys run against each other, and it's fun to watch. You know, it's fun to go shoot. And then you could say, hey, we'll have Alien out there. You could test the gun. You could test this gun. You could test that gun. We could have Steel Challenge. We could have little tiny mini. They do the airsoft IPSC now in really serious formats in a lot of parts of the world. I think that'd be a great thing to introduce, to be like, hey, if you brought your kid, you have an 8-year-old and he wants to come play, well, we have an airsoft IPSC in that bay over there, and we can introduce him to the rules, the load and make ready, the way stages are shot, but we'll do it with a little airsoft gun so nobody can get hurt. Your 8-year-old can come and participate. Your 14-year-old can come and participate and kind of get a taste for it. Now, a dad can bring their kid out to an event day, be like, hey, I love USPSA. Even if I didn't get a slot, I can come out and check this out. I can go camping. I can go out, because by the way, Cardinal Center has a great campground, so you can go camping. I can go shoot a side event. I could see JJ do his thing. I can see all the pros do their thing. My kid can shoot some USPSA. I could buy a gun, and it'll promote more of a family, like community atmosphere that like Sporting Clays has. Sporting Clays is full of families there, full of spectators, full of people. They take the sport more seriously, and I don't think it's coincidence that they have a lot more money and a lot more serious people in that sport. My sister shoots Sporting Clays professionally. My family comes from Sporting Clays, so I'm kind of the black sheep shooting pistols and everything. But all the time, I talk to Sporting Clays guys as crossover. Obviously, I bump into these people, and I've had a Sporting Clay guy ask, like, hey, so what about the sport? I have a pistol. I would like to shoot. And I was kind of describing it to him, and he's like, wait, so you have 2 nationals? I was like, yeah, kind of 3, because we do IPSC. He's like, wait, you have 3 nationals? And it's just open enrollment? Yeah, call me when you guys are serious. That was his actual quote. Call me when you guys are serious. He's not even a great shooter, but he's one of those guys that, like, I have limited time. I've got the funds. And if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it seriously. I'm not going to go to some weird hobbyist sport where it's like, okay, I won nationals, but it wasn't this nationals, but it wasn't this division, it wasn't that division. He just looked at me like I had 6 heads, and I start to realize, unless you're in this sport and you've learned to accept a lot of those things, that's not normal, and that's not a good, serious way to take your sport. In my opinion, anyway. I think the ProAm style would solve it greatly. I think the pro 3 days, take a break, amateur 3 days would be huge. I think the amateur 3 days just being open enrollment as it is doesn't need to be changed. I think we could just leave that. The first 3 days is what people tend to argue with me over, whether it should be the ELO ratings, whether it should be earn slots or whatever. I think we should borrow a little bit from 3 Gun Nation and say, well, if you want to earn your slot, you have to shoot a level 2 and a 3 on the way up to the level 4. I think you should hold serious shooters to shooting their local majors. I don't think you should you don't need to be held to travel. You don't need to do what we do and like RV all over and spend 5 days away from your family and all that kind of stuff. But if you're in Mid-Atlantic section, you should go to your sectional. If you're in Area 8, you should go to your area match. And I think if you're not serious enough to go to those 2, I don't think you're serious enough to go to nationals. And that might piss some people off, but that's where, like, I don't have a problem with saying that out loud. I don't think that's a rude personal thing to say. I think that's just a serious thing to say. I think, why do you have why would you just free sign up for nationals if you can't go and participate and like give back to the sport otherwise? Because that's what you're doing. Like, go give back to the sport, go participate, go endorse these matches, go drive, go endorse go be involved. I don't think, no matter how good you are, I think how serious you are should involve you in this stuff. If you go and you shoot your sectional and your regional and your state match and your area match, and even if you're a C-class shooter, you do well at those, I think you should earn your way in. I think we should find a way to kind of prove that I'm in this seriously. I'm not just within a 4-hour drive of Cardinal Center or off that week. Because that's what I heard at last nationals I was at. There's guys on my own squad who was like, yeah, I don't really care. He cares. He was on the squad with his buddy. He's like, I don't care. This is my local club, and there was a spot open, and I got it through XYZ. And I just, like, I'm sitting there rolling my eyes back like a slot machine, because I'm like, I want to be here desperately. I'm trying to be here tremendously. I did a little number crunch, and last year I added over 100 people to the USPSA Rolodex. So that number that they posted up that they're so proud of, that we got 45,000 people, I added 3 digits to that through Callahan Training Group, through encouraging people to come to my competition fundamentals, come to my matches, sign up. I'll get you classified. I'll get you in this. I will coach you into this. I have over 100 people who signed up through me last year. Didn't earn me a slot to race gun nationals. I hosted 42 matches last year. Myself, Sam Callahan. I don't have staff. 42 matches. 8 of them were big public 75-person full matches. The other ones were my weekly matches. Regardless, I shot more matches than most everybody else in the country at my club. Set them up myself. I ran more shooters through than, we'll say, 80% of other clubs in the country. And I earned 1 slot to factory gun nationals. So the slot system's fucked up. I don't care what anybody has to say. The fact that like me and the match directors and some of the other guys who are out there shooting seriously, Alex Danis is the perfect example. He has won multiple majors this year. He won multiple majors last year, but because like we don't have a PA state championship, you can't win your own state championship. You can't win in. But he is a honest to God GM slaying people in PCC and now carry optics, and he didn't get a slot. And he's one of the guys that like, I want to race him at nationals. I want to race the dudes who really care. I want to race the guys who are out there doing it and absolutely destroying. I don't want to race the guy who just knows the section coordinator in Indiana or wherever, like just because there wasn't enough competitors out there and they're giving slots out. We're up here fist fighting each other for them in Area 8 and we can't get enough. So it's kind of nonsense the way this is right now. The guys who want to be there, the serious competitors, the national heat that nationals should be made of, they aren't getting an opportunity to go shoot nationals. So nationals is comprised of like 50% of the best shooters in the country. That's not nationals. That's a good major. That's not nationals. It's a great major. It's great attendance. That's not what nationals is. Nationals is the best of the best getting an opportunity to all come and compete together. In Area 8, like right now, any match you go to in Area 8, there's 10 guys who could win that match at any match now. It's not like, oh, who's going to win? Who's going to come second to that guy? That's how much talent there is around now. So I think that much talent should be rewarded, and we should let a lot more guys that deserve to be there go to nationals. I don't want to take anything from anybody. That's why I proposed the ProAm. The Pro kind of gets all the guys who should be fist fighting for all these spots, the guys who are hungry for it, the guys who are willing to drive and do all the stuff and sacrifice time and dry fire every day and shoot hundreds of thousands of rounds. Like, those are the guys should be rewarded to go to nationals pro style. The amateur guys, you should be able to participate. I think that's fair, and I think that's where that will pop up. But those are my feelings for the nationals. That's how I think we can fix it. I think by promoting that will also bolster our major matches around the country. It'll make people want more to get into the area matches, more into the sectionals. The serious people will want to shoot them to earn their way in. It'll get the culture kind of clamoring more. It'll kind of get people more competitive rather than participation, because there's a big difference there. There's a lot of people who want to participate in every match local to them, and they're not competitive, and they don't care to be. They just want to participate in every match. And that's nice. That's great. But I think making this a more competitive thing where, like, if you go to the match and you don't finish at a certain place, you don't get your national slot, I think that'll make people take this a little bit more seriously. So there's a lot of different ways to implement what I've just said, but that's me. That's what I think is going to fix it. I think if we want to take it more seriously, we need to offer the pro side of things. We need to offer the you can't come unless you have earned it side of things. That's where real competitive anything starts. I don't care if, again, darts, tennis, fucking cornhole. You can't open and roll, go to cornhole nationals. You have to earn your way in through all the fucking brackets and everything. So it's like, why are we trying to take this sport less serious than cornhole? It's a gun sport, first of all. Second of all, I think we're the most important gun sport. Yeah, we're the most important gun sport. We are. Why? We are teaching police officers and people who serve to use their firearms in the manner in which they're going to use it in a firefight, in a gunfight, in an emergency. We are the best training for that. Argue with me if you will, but I am done arguing at this point. I teach enough people who have been in gunfights and are actively gunfighting to back that up. I know this is the way to train. So we are the most important gun sport. Let's take this seriously. Let's get cops involved. Let's get the SWAT involved. Let's get these guys involved. Let's hold this up. Let's stand up and represent ourselves well so that we can get the serious of the serious involved here. And hey, guess what? That's how you get like corporate sponsors. That's how we get supported from the outside. We don't have the kind of support that we should. We have 45,000 members. You know what that is? It's a rounding error on a census. There's nobody involved. There's no reason that real big companies want to dump real big money into our sport because we barely take it seriously and we don't really represent ROI outside of us. But if we start training all the law enforcement, we start training all these guys, and we start having this, I think that's big. Now, the other side of things, and it kind of transitions into my next topic, I think what Hunter Constantine and Belt is doing for the community is done more for the community than any board member or person has ever done in the world, just by getting people familiar with and into this sport in a more friendly fashion. And I think that's where having a division, a category, belt or category appendix or concealed, whatever, would be a huge way to bolster this community too and feed into what I was just talking about. Well, if we can get people who are carrying, and this is the correct way to train, if we can get those two to match each other, and we could start to get every holster manufacturer and every gun manufacturer and everybody to understand that if you carry a gun, you should train to carry said gun, and the way to train is probably USPSA. Well, we have this feeder system all of a sudden that we should be the sport that is in magazines and being bolstered, not the NRA bullseye shit, right? Like, we all know that. If you're listening to me, you know that. We need to make that more normal. We need to kind of capitalize, take ourselves more seriously. How serious does the NRA take themselves? Right? So serious. Does it merit that level of seriousness? Hell no. They just take it super serious. So who is the de facto go-to national organization for firearms? The one that's the biggest and takes themselves most seriously, right? So why don't we do that? Come on. Like, we have an opportunity, or at least a model, like at least a goal to get to there, to be the people who are training people to be successful shooters in any capacity. There's a reason now that all the high-level SWAT and police units are seeking out USPSA training, developing USPSA competitive groups and things like that. This is the way. We need to take it seriously and push that more. So that's that. But what I'm starting to say is now for the civilian side of things, I love that appendix and concealed's getting in. I love that Hunter is starting to open up. Hey, you don't need to be wearing some NASCAR polo and this big fancy belt. You could just come from appendix. And some guys, Brantley Merriam, I know, what's his name, Nate Barnes. There's guys out there who are slaying to a GM level. I know Donovan made GM from appendix, from his APX rig. Like, there's guys shooting to a super high level from appendix now. And it is a awesome bolster to the sport. We're getting the carry guys. We're getting the guys who don't want to be so competitive only minded into the sport, and eventually we will win them over and they'll want to shoot an open gun or something. But at least for the time being, we got guys who think they're good shooters or thought they were training, really coming and training and shooting. So I think that is awesome. And the Glockening is happening right now. I call it the great Glockening because I don't know if you've noticed, but everybody who shot every race gun in the last, 6 months has gone out and bought a Gen 5 or a Gen 6 and is now shooting from appendix because they start to realize, damn, if I'm a good shooter, I could shoot a Glock. It's weird. It's almost like I've been saying this for like a decade. Beyond that. But I love this because what's going on now is we can start to say, well, if you carry and you have an appendix rig or you carry inside your body, we have a way to train that now. There's no other sport out there train that. There's no other metric out there to say I'm a good carrier. There is no metric. There is no way to say, like, I can go to the gym and say I lift 400 pounds off the ground. Well, that's a lot of weight. There's no one to say I'm a good shooter unless you could shoot USPSA and you could prove it. So if we could start to make that normal, kind of like going to the gym is calling yourself healthy and fit, being a good shooter is USPSA. I think we're looking at starting to take advantage, not take advantage, is use the, I'll say take advantage of the momentum we've built in the training and start to really promote it to both the people who appendix carry or concealed carry and the police officers, that there is no better metric to say I'm ready for the worst day of my life. I'm ready for a gunfight. If you are going to say I can shoot under pressure and stress, come prove it. And if you can't do it to our dinky little cardboard targets, you're not ready. So I beat up a lot of people in that regard. But I love that the Glockening is happening right now because people realize from our sport, it is just as fun to shoot from appendix. You forego the ability to go fast, right? I can't do my sub-second draw and sub-second reload, so I'll just shoot better. I think that's a great thing to learn. I learned that lesson hard last year shooting Walther from appendix at major matches. I shot Maryland State, and I won from concealment. I won from belt. I was 4th or 5th overall carry optics behind the guys wearing race rigs, but I was the highest guy from concealment at that whole match, and it was interesting to see. The only time I gave up, or really the only reason I didn't win that match was a time gap. And the time gap was me reloading from my friggin' crotch. I outshot. I had more accuracy. I had just as good a shooting as some of the top guys. And it promotes good training. It promotes that crossover where it's not a specialty skill to come out and shoot USPSA. It does cross over, and you being able to do both is awesome. I think it's nice, too, to now have a better even a professional shooter, even a grandmaster, I feel a whole lot better, a whole lot more subconscious shooting from my appendix rig, if God forbid I ever needed to. And having two kids at home now, I've never felt like I needed to carry more in my life, you know? So it's a good thing. I think us having everybody join us is going to be a good thing. More people shooting simple guns to a high level is a great thing to see. Because when I entered the sport, I was kind of the hard-headed guy shooting a stock Glock. And there's a lot of guys shooting fancy. The Shadow 2 wasn't even a thing yet. So it was like Tune 75Bs, the CZ 75, and it was Tanfolio season. Oh my God, was it Tanfolio season. And it was like either shooting Tanfolio or the CZ or an open gun, or you were wrong. You're a geek. You're like a guy like me trying to shoot a duty gun where it doesn't belong. And I just shut up and did my thing long enough that everybody caught up with me. And now everybody's doing that. I shot my Glock 19 to master class and then finally got a Glock 45 and shot that to GM in 3 divisions. So now I'm shooting a 45, or I'm sorry, a 34. That's the only thing that's different now, is that my setup is just my gigantic long boy. I like the 34. After a season of shooting a Walther, it became apparent that bigger guns do soak up some of your dumb shit. Now, I don't want my training to reflect like, hey, I'm trying to get lucky or I'm trying to let the gun soak it up. But at a major match or in a competition, when I'm trying to push the limits, what I would call a Charlie and get a Charlie with my Glock 45 or my 17, the 34 might hold me a perf alpha. So I found that the 34 is kind of like my preferred race gun. That said, that's the gun I won Maryland State with from Carry Optics. This is the gun that I GM'd Carry Optics with. And this is the gun that was first to 100% in limited optics. This one and Sam Callahan was the first person who hit 100% limited optics, a stock Glock 45. So I'm glad that everybody's starting to catch up and join me. It's kind of fun. It's become a fun thing. But I also think it's just going to be good for the industry overall. I like to be right, don't get me wrong. It makes me feel good. But I think the reason I like to be right and the reason I was pushing this all along is because I want more people involved. And a cheap ass like myself doesn't want to go out and buy a $7,000 rig. And I think this is the proper way to train. So I was trying to promote to every cop and every guy who carried a gun, you don't need fancy stuff. Join me with your Glock. Come out and train to a high level. You'll be a good shooter. If you can do USPSA, you're probably 150% as prepared as you'll ever need to be for a gunfight, which sounds great to me because I don't want to top myself out in skill ever. I want to be able to throttle down and win and make decisions and, you know, in real life, have some gas in the tank. Well, the fun thing about USPSA is the skill set and the levels have gotten so high that our benchmark has gotten insane. And if you can keep up with the USPSA guys, I keep saying I feel like Deadpool when I'm doing like force on force and like running around a shoot house. I just feel like I'm skipping and just like throwing rounds into people's face masks while they freeze up and do dumb shit. And I'm like, well, seems weird to me that I'm just a USPSA guy and I can kind of do these kinds of things. But hey, what do I know? I've just been saying this for a while. Yeah, thank you. This is I think I'm approaching 30 minutes. I'm trying not to go over 30 minutes with these podcasts because longer than that, unless I have a guest, I tend to just either bitch or drone on. So thank you guys for sticking with me. Again, it's not going to be regular. I just had a moment here to spare in my little diva room here. I'm going to keep doing the podcast through the season as I can. If I start traveling for major matches, I tend to sit in a hotel room or sit on my RV a little bit, so I'll try to film some content there. But really all I'm going to be doing is focusing on building Double Eagle this season, building Callahan Training Group this season. I am busier than I could hope, and I mean that in a great way. Busy is blessed. I'm loving the season. I'm booked out to September right now. It is May 13th. My matches are sold out pretty much indefinitely. It's been insane. So as I get time, I'll keep doing these. But content for me is just me filming all my training and throwing some highlight reels out there. I make this comment all the time. I don't work for Instagram, so I don't film for Instagram. I don't post for Instagram. I post on Instagram. I film for myself. I film to watch myself, to see what I can do. I am my own coach 90% of the time. I'm shooting by myself 99% of the time. So I'm filming and I end up just posting my positives, posting my stages. Obviously, it helps marketing in this world of social media, but I'm really not that focused on the digital side of things anymore. I'm going to be fully honest with you guys. I will maintain a presence. I'm going to keep posting on YouTube, and every once in a while I'm popping on and just being a real person. But with 2 kids and my deep affection for the sport, I'm just losing interest in the digital side of things, both for my mental health, but also for my time. I have 2 kids, man. I have very limited time, and I don't want to be posting on here and answering questions on here. I feel guilty. So part of the reason I got Starlink here up at Double Eagle, so I can do this. I can take 30, 45 minutes at the end of the day or the beginning of my day at work now. I can answer emails, I can do content, I can do videos and stuff, but I'm going to start making it a an effort to get home and not talk to anybody that's not my kids and wife. So sorry if I'm harder to reach. I don't think I will be harder to reach because right now I'm impossible to reach. I'm up here 12 hours a day and I have no service anyway. I'm just going to start doing these little office hours probably weekly. I'll probably try to make Monday, Tuesdays my office hours. Sit up here, get some emails done, shoot some content, edit some stuff. Typically, if you see posts popping up on Instagram, it's because I had an hour or two and I scheduled like 5 or 7 in a row so I can just not think about it and just let them keep posting. But if you need to get a hold of me, I know that's out. With all that said, email, message, text me. I'm never not going to get back to you. Just I have to wait till a point where I can get to all the messages and texts, and then I'll get back to you. If it's a rush or you think I forgot you, don't be afraid to prod me because I do live up in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes I'll send a text from Double Eagle and I'll start driving through the woods and the text just doesn't go through. And I checked it off my mental list, but it didn't go through. So I apologize. It's been harder to reach, but that said, do not be bashful in scheduling. The competition fundamentals classes have been filling up every single time I post them. My matches are, if you're not on it, pretty much impossible to get into right now. I am booked for private training until September. So if you keep saying, yeah, I'm going to train, yeah, I'm going to train, yeah, I'm going to train, don't keep waiting. It's going to get impossible. Now, that said, I do have an assistant, Rob, now, who is helping me take the burden off, especially during the week. If my schedule is blocked off, you can pop over and see what's available for Rob and book with Rob now. But any questions, comments, concerns, I'm still always here. I'm still available. I love this. I'm never going to stop doing this. I'm just getting, in a blessed way, I'm getting so busy that I don't love looking at screens. I'd rather look at my customers in the face and then look at my children at night. I live in a digital world, so I won't get that blessing, but I'm going to try to get as close to that as possible. So thank you guys. Good to actually come here and talk for a little bit. I'm going to go out and buy some shit and go actually do some, that sounded cocky. I'm going to go buy some spray paint and staples so that I can go out and fix the range up a little bit. And then I'm going to do some more training today. I got about 500 rounds in yesterday between some of my own training and JJ cracking the whip. So I'm going to try to do the same thing today, get some stuff done. If you guys need me, I'm up at Double Eagle. If you can't get a hold of me, just drive up here. I'm in the woods somewhere. Say bye, Colt. Say thank you. Colt says goodbye. Thank you. And I'll always say one last thing before I go. Don't forget to dry fire.